review and turn on the participant list, you can raise your hand if you want to be recognized. So we're going to try to hold this as a regular meeting, and you will be able to be recognized by the floor with audio and video, or feel free to use the instant message feature if you like. Cam, could you go ahead and turn on the agenda? So there is the agenda, and if you could go to my slides really quickly. Thank you. Perfect. Go ahead and maximize that. So let's start with a picture that was taken so long ago. Talk about living a lifetime. That's a picture of us, the Faculty Senate, at our first meeting. And it is good to see all of you, at least virtually, and I look forward to being able to see all of you in person. We're going to have a great celebration, I'm sure. Next slide. So quick notes, please go make sure you sign in. And that is the wrong link. Go to the agenda, actually, and make sure you sign into the, actually, no, I apologize. That is the right link to the general faculty meeting. And you can also access all slides and handouts that we'll be using today, linked directly into the agenda. And again, all of your video, audio, video, and chat has been turned on. So please make sure you stay muted. Please raise your hand and be recognized by the floor before speaking. But you can now turn your microphone on. So please, everyone, stay muted. Thank you. All right, so a quick introduction. So we will prevail. So what are we fighting for? What am I fighting for? So there's a picture of myself and my wife of 34 years. We met as juniors in high school, and we really have committed to building a quality life together. And our children now are all college age. So all the things that we're doing, all the decisions that we're making are very relevant in our lives. And in the end, it's all about living a quality of life and supporting a quality of life for those that we serve. I do believe adversity brings out the best in us. So I've really enjoyed working with all of you in the challenging times that we're in. I want to also recognize that UNCG honors your extraordinary work, responsiveness, and care for our students. So Dana and administration, again, would kindly put out an ad in the Chronicle. So that ad is in the handout folder as well. So please take a look at that. And remember too, uncertain and tough times are still ahead, but our hard work and our shared governance will prevail. So I wanted to thank all of you for what you've done. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is approve the minutes. Brad?
Are there any corrections, additions, revisions to the minutes as they were posted?
Okay, hearing none. The difficulty, Brad, will be on how to collect the votes. Shall we do it by hand raise, or maybe we do it by consensus with no objections? What do you think? And Chanel, if you're with us, your advice is always welcomed. Okay, given our unique circumstances, are there any objections to the minutes? If there are no objections, we will approve the minutes by consensus. Okay, the minutes have been approved. Okay, so Google knows all. So I found this picture of Dana as it was part of the news article as she joined us so many years ago. But I asked Dana to kind of remark on her thoughts as far as where we are and where we're going. Dana?
Thank you very much, Anthony, and good afternoon, everyone. As I said earlier, and I know we may have a somewhat different audience now, I do hope that you are all managing well in this challenging time and that you're finding ways to boost your spirits through this uncertain and difficult period. For me, it's a bit of time outdoors, walking on the trails through nature, some deep philosophical conversations with my pups. I tell you, they're quite profound, and occasionally a rousing game of Quirkle. But whatever sustains you, I would simply ask that you do more of it and take care of yourselves. Also, please add to the list of things to feel positive about and proud of is the great work that you've done this semester under very difficult circumstances to help our students maintain progress toward their degree and all the life-transforming rewards that are associated with higher education. In those downtimes, that's something we can all feel very good about. In terms of pride and accomplishment, I do want to call everyone's attention here today to the recent communication from me and also the recent Campus Weekly announcement of this year's Teaching, Advising, Mentoring, and Research Award winners. It's unfortunate that we can't convene to celebrate the work of these esteemed individuals, but I very much urge you to reach out to them and congratulate them. You will also see on Sunday, the 26th, a full-page announcement of these individuals and their accomplishments in the Greensboro newspaper. At the same time, I thank you for your good work and comment on the pride you should all feel. I actually want to ask you to do more. We know that the urgency with which we had to divert our course to online instruction in the spring semester was far from ideal, and for many faculty who had not taught online previously, or even some who had but weren't prepared to teach their current courses online, the experience was less than satisfying, or I should say is less than satisfying, and the outcomes may fall short of what you would like. We know we have high standards at UNC Greensboro. You know that. It's one of the reasons you're here. What I'm asking is that in the face of uncertainty about the fall semester, and in the absence of a decision potentially until early July about whether we can start, much less finish, the fall semester face-to-face, please take time this summer to further refine your online teaching skills and materials. We'll do everything we can to support you. The recent call will support up to 150 faculty with an intensive development opportunity, and there's modest compensation associated with this opportunity. If this one doesn't fit your schedule or suit your needs, there is a list of other structured opportunities to access development in the communication. Please take advantage of this opportunity, because when we return in the fall, we want to be confident that what we deliver is at the highest standard we all endorse at UNC Greensboro. What do we know about the fall? Well, we addressed much of this in the town hall that preceded this meeting. We don't know a great deal. As recent as yesterday, we saw 2 campuses make announcements for the fall, some of the earlier campuses to do so outside our state, and they made opposite calls. Cal State Fullerton elected to call now for a fully online semester, saying they were confident that they would not be able to provide the kind of safe and secure environment that would be required on campus by the fall semester. The very same time, Purdue University made the opposite call, saying they believed they could do so and that they would meet face-to-face in the fall. It's really too early to call, and as unsatisfying as the uncertainty is, I think we're better served by waiting as long as we can. We can't wait too long, but we can wait another month or two before we reach a decision. In the end, it's not under our control. A medical expert said that the virus is what will determine the path forward and the schedule. In our case, it's both the virus and the UNC system. This will not be a campus call. I want to conclude today by saying that this is my last general faculty meeting, it's my last general faculty meeting, I should say, to address you as provost. In future ones, I'll be in attendance as a faculty member. When I made the bittersweet decision to exit this role, I could not have imagined the way in which my last months as provost would conclude. I do remember clearly 6 years ago when I first addressed the Faculty Senate a few weeks after my arrival here at UNC Greensboro. I've reflected on this and I recall it was a very challenging period in the life of the university. Enrollment declines and state budget cuts had led to very constrained budgets, actual reductions in force at the university, and there was a great deal of tension on campus. When I attended that first Faculty Senate meeting, I asked at the time that you imagine a trust meter with a setting of neutral in the middle of the dial, and that you allow me as a new provost to start my time here in that neutral zone with an opportunity to earn your trust. I've worked hard over the last 6 years to try to earn that trust, and I hope that the majority of you feel that I succeeded. While I'm certain that we've not always agreed, and I'm certain that I've done something that's frustrated virtually every one of you, I do feel that my request was honored. Shared governance very much depends upon an atmosphere of trust and collaboration between faculty and administration. I thank you for working with me and for the privilege of being your provost. I think we together accomplished a great deal. We've added new academic programs, we've seen growth in enrollment, we've added many new faculty, new student support services, we've enhanced technology and automation in the way we carry out our work. We've seen significant increases in research funding and visibility in terms of the stature of the scholarly enterprise. We've been the only campus in the UNC system to meet or exceed for 2 years in a row all of our UNC system metrics. These are just a few of the things that we have done together. A new provost will soon be joining the university, and this provost too will be joining at a time of challenge. A different kind of challenge, admittedly, but at a very challenging time. I urge you once again to support an open, trusting, and collaborative relationship so that UNCG can once again navigate through what will be a very temporary period of difficulty to emerge on the other side stronger, much stronger than ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dana. Before we continue, it looks like we're having some technical challenges. So I guess, Kevin, question to you, is there any way, yes, if you can enable chat for all, that would be excellent. And if any way we can enable video and audio, that would be excellent as well. So, but I want to recognize Patty and Chanel, who had their hands raised, and I'm hoping you can hear me. And I guess if you can't speak, if you can't turn your audio on, let's see. Oh, okay, Patty, you're on. Yes.
Yeah, I'm on. Thanks. I'm good.
Okay. Well,
It's just
at least
not seeing folks.
Oh, right. Well, at least that was a good technical test. And Chanel, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm okay. I couldn't chat or anything, so I didn't know how to say yes by consensus before, so I kind of went crazy to raise my hand. So I'm good.
Oh, I did good, Chanel. Thank you. That's all.
Yes, you did good. Thumbs up.
Without my parliamentarian, I'm really proud of myself. I've learned something this year. Okay. With that being said, and I do want to thank Dana. Dana, I just want to say, and I'm going to say it a number of times at this meeting, but you really do personify Minerva. So smart, wise, and generous. So it's been a real privilege working with you. But with that being said, we have time for that later too. So go ahead, Cam, you want to advance the slides? So I've asked both our deans of undergraduate and graduate studies to join us. My hope for our general faculty meeting is to hear from your leadership about where we are and where we're going. So I've asked Andrew and Kelly to join us, and I guess we'll just start left to right. Andrew, can you hear us? There you are.
Okay, am I on?
You are on. Yes, sir. Can't see you, but we could hear you.
Okay. I think that has to be handled on your end, but I'll just
Okay.
get started.
Sounds great.
I just want to start by echoing something you said, sir. It's been a privilege to serve not only the undergraduates here, but the provost. I came here partly to learn from her and to work from her, and I was impressed right from our first interaction. And it's been a great year to learn this job and this institution. So I'm sorry to see you go, Dana. I just have 4 quick updates for you all. The first is I want to deliver a message from the students, and without editorializing, here it is. They would very much like, please, for all of us to think about making final exams optional. You probably didn't need me to tell you that, but I've been getting this message through every possible messaging option except for snail mail for a couple of days now. So you've heard it, I've said it, that's it. Second, we are anticipating a comparatively very large number of course withdrawals from this term, and we're working to hold the line on summer enrollments. And indeed, we're trying to make it clear that summer is a good option for making continued degree progress. So as you know, most summer courses were designed to be fully online, so they're a good option for many students who had to reduce their hours because of the impacts of the virus. So I want you all to know that we're doing everything we can to not only make the case, but make it financially and curricularly possible for students to continue to make degree progress this year and to replace whatever they had to reduce, whatever courses or hours they had to reduce this terms because of the impact of the virus with summer coursework. So I appreciate your support in that effort. It may mean we wind up standing up more courses than we have already. I'm not sure. What we're doing right now is on Thursday, I hope, we are going to turn on the W option, and the students who have already identified themselves as in the queue for taking that option will begin to do it. We're going to track their W's in real time and reach out to them with advising and I think sort of prepackaged financial aid help as well. Tali and her shop have been doing a lot of work to define how that's going to go, and I've, in my shop with Dana Saunders' help, have tried to define how our work will go. Third, another summer update, SOAR will be virtual. Of course, SOAR will be online, and we're working very hard to make it good. We're taking the approach that SOAR this year is summer marketing of the university and something to look forward to for our incoming fall freshmen. We want them to have the light at the end of the tunnel of.
Andrew, we've moved you to a panelist now, so your audio and video now should work. Our apologies. You went, it took you to mute automatically.
I'm unmuted and live and in
there
person.
You are.
Okay. Thanks. So I was just saying that with help from all the deans and associate chairs and advising directors, we have done, I think, really good work in moving toward summer orientation that's virtual and a good marketing effort, and it's sort of good to get the message out that we're here, we're working, and we're welcoming freshman students and transfer students to our campus in the fall, even if it has to be virtual, although I really, really hope it won't. Finally, just the last thing, I have heard round the way that we are delaying the rollout of the general education implementation, the new general education revision. That is not true. We are not delaying. We are delayed a little bit because I and others who are working on the implementation have had to devote our efforts to COVID-19 responses. But we are very much on track to get the new Gen Ed curriculum rolled out on time. So don't believe anybody who says otherwise. We are doing what we need to do. One more thing on that. I will just acknowledge that we have to date not done a great job of being transparent about where we are in the process, which is why I think some folks maybe suspected that we were not going to have it out on time. By the end of this week, we'll have a new Gen Ed website out. So the Provost website, the Gen Ed revision website is sort of frozen. And that will stay where it is, and the implementation website will live on the Division of Student Success page. There's a tab there for the Office of the Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and we're already preparing updates. So that'll get updated weekly as the implementation committee meets, and there will be information there. We're doing all kinds of things right now that will provide information about where we are. We're tabulating seats. We're very far along on the crosswalk. We've designed processes for designating new courses as Gen Ed and new processes for identifying courses. So I'll stop there. If there are questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Thank you, Andrew. Why don't we go with Kelly, and if questions come in, we'll return to you if there are questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Anthony, can they see my slide?
Probably
Yes, okay.
not. If you can, if you can
Well,
turn it on. There you go.
Yeah, I certainly don't need to read it to anybody. It's very short. I just want you to know that Greg and I and the rest of my team are working really hard to support our students. You know, a lot of them have families and pressures that a lot of our undergrads don't, just in different ways. We've only had 4 students indicate intention to withdraw from a class so far, which is very good. We're working, it's mostly, we're dealing with a lot of food insecurity issues, rent insecurity. Anyhow, enrollment for next year, if you look at just our raw data, you wouldn't know that there's a problem. But we expect, you know, every day we're looking at it, particularly our international enrollment. Even though students haven't asked for deferments or said they can't come, we know full well that most of our new international students won't be able to get here. So faculty with our programs with international students, we're looking for ways to let them start in their cohort while they're still in country. So anyhow, just know we're trying to be on top of everything. And I'll just take questions as well.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Kelly? All right, well, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free. They are both panelists now, so they can see your chats. So feel free to ask questions via chat as we move forward. Thank you so much to both of you for spending some of your very busy time with us. Go ahead, Cam, next slide. And by the way, Cam has become a wizard with this. It is not for the faint of heart to control all of these slides and browser windows. So, but yes, next I've asked the Senate chairs to provide a brief report on their committee's work. We're going to give it a shot. I think if you're not able to turn on your video, then audio probably at this point is all that we can do. So we'll give that a shot, and we will see. We don't mean to role model how to operate in the digital world, but certainly problems and tech issues are the norm. And as faculty and instructors, we just have to roll with it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go committee by committee. So Cam, first slide. Okay, academic computing, April. So April does not have audio. So no one's able to activate audio. Okay, so Kevin, I guess what we could do, why don't we do this? Why don't, Kevin, why don't we just activate each Senate chair, committee chair as they come up to a panelist? And we're
that is fine. I just don't know that list. So if you could tell me who the names are, I can find them and elevate them.
No problem. So April Black would be the first one. Yeah, the name is on the slide. And Brad, if you wouldn't mind, if you could give him a list. The names should be on the slides in the slide deck. Right.
I think the difficulty is I don't see April Black in the list of attendees. Is it AN Black 2?
Yes, that's
there
it.
You go. All right, hold a second. I'm promoting to panelist.
Great. All right, go ahead, April.
Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Sure, I apologize.
Not your fault. So I'm going to start. Sorry, I didn't realize I had camera access as well. I'm the chair for the Academic Computing Committee, and we have had issues meeting for the last 2 meetings. We did meet in February. We did not meet in March, but we meet actually tomorrow. There have been a lot of changes since February. We talked about Respondus Lockdown Browser Monitor. We were talking about the pilot that was going on and what was happening in the Bryan School with Lockdown Browser and Monitor. And there was a lot of interest with the faculty on that committee discussing it with their departments and their schools to see if other faculty members wanted to join our pilot. And of course, and the university has agreed to pay for it for another full year. So everybody has access to Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitor. It is, if you don't know what that software is, it is a web proctoring software for online exams. So it locks down student browsers, and it uses their camera to evaluate their environment and to make sure that they're not using notes or other resources for taking a test. We also talked about the Zoom pilot, which is now no longer a pilot. As I said, things have changed. At the time in February, there were 63 members involved in the pilot, and David Kirkland came from UTLC and gave us a great discussion on Zoom pilot. Since that last meeting, we now have an enterprise license for Zoom, and everybody on campus can use Zoom. We also talked about having our upcoming election, which we will have tomorrow, for a chair-elect, and secretary. And then the last thing we talked about was tracking professional development for those who want to be certified to teach online. And that has obviously changed tremendously over the last 4 weeks. So I'm not sure that will need to continue, a discussion that will need to continue. And that's it for us.
Great, thank you so much, April.
You're welcome.
Cam, next. Okay, this is Tammy.
Hi, I'm Tammy Dreves. I chair the Academic Policies and Regulations Committee. Sorry, I have my slide up on a different screen. That's why I keep turning my head. We've been very busy, especially in the last several weeks with the emergency academic relief packages. But other things that we have done this week have included, or done this year, included amending the course inactivation policy. We've been reviewing a final exam policy, particularly in relation to religious observances that might coincide with final exams, and how our final exam policy does or does not address those. We have the Undergraduate Curriculum Committee. We've charged them with working on policy regarding the creation of pre-baccalaureate certificate programs. That has just begun, so you'll probably be hearing about that through your academic units next year. And then in development is a grade replacement policy, which we're simultaneously developing a excluded F policy and a repeated course policy. All of those things need to sort of come out together because they work with one another. And then currently under review also is a syllabus policy. And of course, the Faculty Senate is voting right now on the summer 2020 academic relief package for students.
Great. Thank you so much, Tammy. Thanks for being so responsive in the hard work of your committee.
You're welcome.
Okay, budget. I don't know if we have someone from the budget committee. Norman, are you with us? Okay, thanks, Andrew. So we will skip the budget committee. What I will say is that we've worked very hard with the provost and Alan Boyette and others across campus. We appreciate, again, working with us on helping establish priorities. Elections and appointments. So really quickly, we've developed a new information system using Google Sheets to increase both the speed and accuracy of all elections. So that's been something that's taken quite a bit of effort, but right now I think we've gotten a good system in place where the election officers are in charge of one specific spreadsheet that then prompts us to update the roster, which is automatically attached to our website. We've revised guidelines in terms of constitutional requirements to try to standardize and clarify the process for each of the units. We are using now electronic ballots almost exclusively, which increases the speed and accuracy of that process. And I'm delighted to say I've finally strong-armed a new chair, Harper Rowan, who has generously agreed to be the chair moving forward. So any questions, please reach out to myself or Harper if you can. Okay, Melanie?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay, this is the Committee on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And we had a good bit of work right at the beginning of the academic year assisting the general education revision group with writing the host has asked me to start my video. Sorry. There. Writing the definitions and learning outcomes for the understanding diversity and equity competency. We also met in the early part of spring semester with the Provost Faculty Fellow, Steve Haynes, and the Collaborations Committee for the She Can, We Can upcoming theme to share some concerns raised about programming and just representing all the stories around women's suffrage, the positive and the negative. And we revised our committee charge to better reflect what we feel like we're actually doing. And so I think the Senate will be hopefully voting in favor of changing that at the next meeting. And that's about it. I didn't put that Anthony Taylor should be the next year's chair, but feel free to contact me or him if you have any comments.
Thanks, Melanie. Just make sure that Steve and crew have, I guess, the resolution that you need for us. The packet's got to go out by next Wednesday. So, but thanks for all your work. Okay, Wade.
Hello. So we've done a lot this year, and some of the highlights were that we had a change at the Faculty Assembly of the minimal eligibility requirements for all UNC schools from a GPA and a test score to a GPA or a test score. You have those details from the previous Senate minutes. We also endorsed a statement on collegiality that was drafted by the UNCG Faculty Senate. I've provided a link in my slide to that. We discussed the projected demographic decline in 18 to 24-year-olds going to college, also in the Senate minutes. We supported an op-ed from Faculty Assembly Chair Green concerning the state budget impact on higher education. We engaged the UNC system on multiple issues, including summer pay, faculty raises, student mental health, salary compression, and the COVID response. And most recently, this one is new, the Faculty Assembly Executive Committee, on which Anthony Chow is a member, they are now meeting bi-weekly to help support the UNC system response to COVID-19 related issues. So another great connection that we have. And if you have questions, as always, email me. Thank you.
Thanks, Wade. And also adding to that, at that meeting, at the request will be President Roper and Board of Governor Chair Randy Ramsey. So it's a great opportunity again to, we're very appreciative of their willingness to ensure that faculty perspectives are at the highest level. Thank you, Wade. Thanks for your great leadership, by the way. All right, Lori.
Yes. So the Faculty Compensation and Welfare Committee, we first in the fall thought that there was going to be a coach survey that was going to be administered this spring. However, we learned it wasn't going to be till the following spring. So the committee constructed an internal survey pertaining to faculty welfare. We were going to send it out this spring, but we recently found out maybe it'd be best not to send it out until late summer. Additionally, we had a request for data to support an Office of the Ombuds from our Chancellor. And the committee, along with assistance of other faculty leadership, we developed a survey, we sent it out, and I gave you a preliminary report at the March Senate meeting. And just so we know, 268 faculty responded to the survey. Over 90% indicated a support that UNCG really could use an Office of the Ombuds, and the narrative findings support the evidence for this service.
Thank you, Lori, for all that you've done in your leadership. And definitely, we're going to get that survey out. I definitely, talking to Dana and others, it's probably not a great time to send out a faculty welfare survey. We'll wait just a little bit longer till hopefully things settle down a little bit. Thank you. Okay, Aaron.
Yes, thank you. Welcome. I just want to start off by saying not much happened in general education this year. It's been a pretty down year. We didn't do much. It's been 189 days since the new program was revised. I can't believe it seems like it was literally 3 years ago. And I just want to take a minute to thank Alice and Chuck and the Gen Ed Council, Jody, Amy, Terry, Lynn, Hamilton and Joy Bowles, who has taken over the implementation committee, and all the dozens of people who have invested time and energy into this program. Andrea, Anthony, yourself, etc. This has not been a one-person show. It hasn't even been a one committee show. This has been a full university effort, and I want to thank everybody from meeting with us to sending comments, feedback, etc. Really, really thankful. Our work is not done. We still have a way to go now that we have the program, how to implement it. So we're still going to be asking for more feedback from these stakeholders, but thank you very much. So moving forward, we have what's called the Minerva's Academic Curriculum. That's our brand of it. We're doing that on purpose to sort of separate it from GEC, very similar to what we did when we switched from Aller to GEC. We're trying to have a new name so as not to confuse things. As Hamilton mentioned earlier, there's going to be a new website dedicated to this. It's going to be online, so questions, answers, FAQs, minutes, etc. That's all going to be there. I want to echo, we're trying to be as transparent as possible, but with this spring semester and trying to get everything implemented, it was really like trying to herd cats. So apologies to the community at large university. Once this website comes up, we'll be able to move forward with everything. The implementation committee has been meeting every Friday and really trying to figure out what is our next phase moving forward. We do have our 11 subcommittees that had 45-minute workshops to hammer out the SLOs for each of the competencies. Right now, there are 4 which are still being modified a little bit, and those are the 3 critical thinking and inquiry that cut across 3 areas of knowledge and the global competency. Those are still being tweaked, and hopefully those will be done in the near future and brought back to council for full voting and approval. We have established a mechanism for what we're tentatively calling the GEC to MAC Express. So these are courses which are currently in the general education curriculum, and we feel are going to just be streamlined automatically into the new MAC. We're developing an online system for departments and faculty to do that, so they don't have to actually process anything and do any paperwork, etc. And as Hamilton mentioned, we are developing a crosswalk to identify hotspots and cold spots within the curriculum to see if certain competencies aren't being filled and where we can move to make sure not only do we have enough seats for all the students, but all the departments are going to be able and well represented, and no one's going to feel like they're being left out of the MAC program. So that's where we are. We're in the implementation phase. So thank you very much for everyone who was involved in it. If I missed anyone, I apologize. It was not on purpose. And again, thank you all, and be safe.
Thank you, Aaron. And again, I want to echo what he said, the leadership of his leadership in particular, and obviously all the work of the previous committee, Jody, Amy, just a wonderful job. So thank you for the leadership and shepherding this through. Okay, Steve.
Now, can you hear me? Okay. The government committee this year has continued work on the proposed Article 4 of the Constitution. This is designed to regulate and better integrate the electoral divisions, the unit level work for the Senate. We've also worked on a unit level shared governance guidelines, which I don't think anybody has seen but my committee so far. We have also continued work on the constitutional changes that we're going to need to be able to represent faculty from UNCG Online and the soon to be established interdisciplinary college. This has proven to be fairly tricky. Been working with Kelly and others to get our facts straight before we actually come up with any proposed amendments on this. We have, during the last few months, we've reviewed the course expiration policy, the emergency undergraduate student academic relief policy, the emergency probationary extension policy, and other things that are related to the COVID emergency. We've also prepared constitutional amendments to allow virtual participation and electronic voting for the Senate and general faculty meetings, amendments to create an electoral division council, another to revise the description of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. And I sent that to you a couple of weeks ago, Anthony. I can resend it if you need me to. To create another one to create to allow faculty who are in phased retirement voting rights on the Senate and general faculty. So that's all very near done or has already been done. We have also proposed and drafted a general policy for shared governance during times of emergency. It really hadn't been until this year that we ever thought we needed such a thing, but we definitely do. And I think I've sent that to you as well, Anthony, for the next Senate meeting. Upon request, we've also reviewed new IOGs for the School of Nursing and the College of Visual and Performing Arts. So we've been very, very busy, but we've managed to get quite a bit done. So if anyone needs to ask me any questions about any of this, there's my email address there. Just send a message.
Great, thank you, Steve. And I want a special acknowledgement to Steve and his committee. Like Dana had said before, we don't always agree on everything, but that really is a sign of healthy shared governance. And I really appreciate Steve's true talent in the constitutional writing world and his responsiveness, and more importantly, the degree of care that shows for all that he does and that he does for us. So thank you, Steve, for that. Okay, employment hearings. Do we have a representative from employment hearings? Okay, so we not hearing anyone. Okay, feel free to recognize yourself if Chris or a representative from the employment hearings. We'll go ahead and move on. If there's someone here, we'll come back to that. Okay, great. Donna.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi. Thanks for organizing all of this today, Anthony. The faculty committee on intercollegiate athletics didn't have much activity in the fall semester. When I was asked to be chair of this particular committee, it was an opportunity that I couldn't take advantage of until the spring semester because I had a couple of big deadlines. So we didn't do much in the fall. We had a couple of small, I guess, updates that we were given from the athletic department, but we really got moving in January, or in December actually, and then it carried over into January. And one of the things that we were able to do this past semester was work with Kelly Burke, Andrew Hamilton, and Tammy Draves regarding an absentee policy, which had been something that I guess had been talked about at a variety of different levels pretty consistently. And of course, intercollegiate athletics is interested in this type of policy because it could truly benefit the student athletes and could potentially allow them to take classes that they might not otherwise be able to take given their travel schedules, et cetera. And of course, this also would extend to, the performance artist on campus and other school sanctioned activities that require students to be off campus and potentially as a result missing classes. So I know that particular policy, the wording on that is still being looked at and still sort of being worked on. And I know that Andrew had to jump off the call today, or our meeting, I should say. But if Kelly and Tammy have any updates on that, definitely feel free to kind of chime in. I know that policy was supposed to go to Faculty Senate for review, but of course, with the current situation that we're in, I'm not sure how much progress was made there. Also, one of the major things that happened for athletics this year was the opening of the new Student Academic Support Service Center, which is on the first floor of the Coleman Building. The FCIA committee took a tour of that, and it really is a great place for student athletes to study and to meet. They have access to some key people like Kristen Rusbolt, who's the director of academic support services for athletics, as well as her staff. So it kind of put everything in one place for them, and it just provided a place where student athletes, I should say, had an opportunity to just meet and talk and study right down the hall, of course, from their locker rooms and their fields and their practice spaces, et cetera. So if you have an opportunity to get to the Coleman Building and just want to see that space, I would recommend that you do it. It's a great place for student athletes. I pulled some information for you regarding student athlete academic performance, and this is just sort of an abbreviated overview. But if you would like the 2018-2019 report, I'll be happy to send that to you, or I can share it with Anthony. And so there are just some updates for you. Just student athletes are really representing the university quite well in terms of their GPA. And just their service engagement to the community. And so I think that there's a lot to be proud of there in terms of how our student athletes are representing us, not just on campus, but in the larger community as well. There was one piece of information that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of, and I put it in the notes section of this particular presentation and can send it to you. It was just the verbiage that Athletic Director Kim Record sent out with regards to our reaction last week on the NCAA violation sanctions that we were given for our self-reported issues that we had with men's soccer and just basically doing some recruiting that shouldn't have been being done at a particular time. And so I can definitely send that to you. You may have seen it. I know Kim sent that to me to just kind of say, if you want to talk about this, let me know, but it was going to be released at noon. And I think it was was one day last week. I can't remember the exact day, but I don't know if you saw that release. I'm not sure how far and wide that went, but if you want the exact verbiage on that, I can certainly send that to Anthony and he can disseminate it that way in case you haven't seen it.
Great. Thank you, Donna, very much.
Sure.
Okay, online learning, Riche.
Hello, thank you very much for having us and for the opportunity. I hope everybody's doing well. Last year resulted with the creation of the guidelines for online teaching. And the beginning of the fall semester was devoted to creating a document with a Q&A that for faculty and anyone who had questions about it. Little did we know that these guidelines would prove to be so helpful. So that was a lot of the time that was spent in during the fall semester was to just make ourselves available in responding questions about these guidelines. And then we were subsequently tasked with creating an online student evaluation. So that's what we have been doing in the spring semester mostly, in addition to some other subtasks, like we have continued to talk about possibly appropriate class size for online learning. But we were going to be working collaboratively with a Senate group that was going to be assigned with this task of online learning, student evaluation. But I don't know that this group was created in the end, so we just decided to provide some guidelines, and we have created these guidelines. So the document is ready, and it's a draft, but we're going to send a final version of the draft to Anthony, and you can just distribute it as you see fit. We elected a new chair for 2021, and we've been in the past 6 weeks, we have also been asked to participate in several documents that have been created quickly, or surveys for online students or for faculty, and so we have been meeting regularly, and that's what we've been doing.
Thanks, Mariche. And yeah, special thanks to you and your committee, given the move to online learning. I'm sure Mariche was scared of seeing another email from me. But again, and thank you for your commitment and being so responsive on top of all the other things you have to do. So well done.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Promotion and tenure guidelines. And before Lori jumps on again, I just want to say double, triple thanks to Lori. She's everywhere. And more importantly, promotion tenure guidelines. She is not the chair, but she stepped forward recognizing the fact that this was important. And so again, Lori, thank you for your leadership.
Oh, thank you. I'm a unit representative for the School of Nursing, and I knew that the committee had not met in a number of years, and I also knew it had been 10 years really since the university-wide guidelines for promotion and tenure had been looked at. So in talking with Senate leadership, first decided to conduct a survey of the units, which I did in November. And what we learned that there's a number of areas that the units do vary in the practice. I have some of them listed there. And then in March, I actually had a face-to-face meeting with the representatives. I went over the survey results and we discussed our overall concerns. So the next steps really, I'm going to compile a list of the concerns that we may need to make changes, not only in the guidelines, but also knowing that the regulations would probably then go to the Faculty Government Committee for consideration of changes next year. And in addition, we were also asked to look at the emergency COVID-19 UNCG P&T policy, which we provided input. Thanks.
Thanks, Lori. Research grants.
Okay, hello everyone. We have had a busy and productive year reviewing the internal grants that come through the Office of Research and Engagement. In the fall, we had 39 new and regular faculty grant submissions. I've also broken them down here by people can submit to one of 4 subcommittees. So I have them broken down by subcommittee here. In the fall, we funded 19 of the 39 grants. And then I have it further broken down into 9 of 22 were for new faculty. New faculty are considered to be in their first 3 years of appointment at UNCG. and then 10 of those 17 were regular faculty grants. In the spring, we had 34 faculty first grant submissions. Of those 34, we funded 22. And of those, 10 of the 14 were new faculty grants and 12 of the 20 were regular faculty grants. So in addition to reviewing the submissions this year, the Office of Research also rolled out a new system called InfoReady for the electronic submission and internal grants. So that has further streamlined the process. We've come a long way from when applicants used to have to drop off hard copies of their grants to the Office of Research. So now both the application process and the review process are all done through InfoReady. That has been special thanks to the Office of Research for all their support with that new system. They made that system very easy to navigate for all of our committee members. So special thanks to Terry and Kim and Aileen and David and the Office of Research for all their help with that.
Thank you, Danielle. My apologies, but because we're nearing our stated timeline, could I have a motion to extend this meeting for, they say, about 10 minutes? And I guess we'll have to use chat. Give a second. Thank you, Michael. Great. Thank you, Donna. Even though technically Donna can't, well, actually, no, she can, General Factman. Great. All right, thank you. And Danielle is going to do the next committee as well.
Yes, so Laura Gonzalez is actually the chair of this committee, but unfortunately she couldn't be here today, so I'm going to report for her. This year, Laura has brought in guest speakers to several of the committee meetings throughout the year to inform the committee members about updates to research policies with the hopes that committee members would then bring that information back to their own units. So she had Lisa Goebel and Anna Kraft come in to talk about open access and data management retention issues. Murphy Shepell came in to talk about sexual harassment policies for conduct of research. And finally, Kristen Meeks came in to speak about UNCG compliance strategies. And Laura also wanted to make sure to especially thank Terry Shelton and Kim Littlefield in the Office of Research for all of their support on this committee.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Laura. Thanks for doing double duty, Danielle.
Absolutely.
And we really are far from sliding our proposals underneath the door. Remember that? Remember sliding it under the, to meet the deadline? All right, great. Undergraduate curriculum, Scott.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Howerton, Undergraduate Curriculum Committee. First, I'd just like to thank all of our committee members this year. We did a lot of work, a lot of good work, and this slide just describes some of our main points. The first few bullets are some of the operating procedures that we developed along the way this year, kind of modifying the roles and responsibilities at each committee level, putting more responsibility on the department program level. We also developed suggested checklist for new courses, program revisions, revised courses, kind of a checklist that a proposer or a reviewer on a committee can go through to help out that process. And we also developed rubrics to evaluate SLOs, and that includes if you're proposing a new course or if you're amending some of your SLOs, we just created a rubric to help you out with that. And then the last few bullets are just the work that we did with curriculum review and approvals. So new courses, revisions, new programs, and program revisions. And finally, just like to send a super shout out to Lynn Wyrick. I don't know if you've ever put in any type of curriculum through. Our committee could not run effectively without her, and I really think almost any curriculum committee around campus has probably used, she has supported them along the way, whether it's with the new system with Kim or just getting their proposals correct. And that goes for Jody Pettazzoni too. So thank you all.
Thank you, Scott, for all of your work and your committee's work. So just when I thought I had this Robert's rules down, my parliamentarian has corrected me. So there is a motion on the floor to extend the meeting for 10 minutes. Could you please all those in favor, please indicate by chatting aye in the chat box. Great. And then all those opposed? Of course, in the digital world, those opposed just leave. All right. Thank you. Chanel, let me know if you see any irregularities in terms of, I do not see any nays over. So thank you very much. Okay, next up, University Promotion and Tenure. So we had no cases reviewed this year, but we did work very closely with the provost and Terry and all unit P&T chairs to draft the emergency COVID-19 P&T policy. I also want to endorse the true value of diversity of thought. So I'm sure Dana agrees. As we shared the draft with faculty across campus, we had a lot of good ideas and also a lot of good qualifiers that helped us tighten the language before it was released. So, and then we're working with the P&T Guidelines Committee to look and review and refine guidelines as needed. And those of you on the P&T committee, thank you so much for, again, your work and your responsiveness. Okay, Cam, next. I think that should be it. Yep, just go back to the slides. Yeah, the right should be the general faculty meeting slides. If you go back to the agenda, it'll be hyperlinked there. Yeah, that's it right there. That's you were there. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so last but certainly not least, a special thanks to Provost Dunn. So we reached out to colleagues to provide a few thoughts about Provost Dunn. So I have a few select quotes, and Dana, I'll be sure to share the full spreadsheet with you. Go ahead, Cam. It'll be a challenge to see if I could actually read it. So the first quote is, I remember her saying in response to a request to reassure the faculty something like, I'm not good at hand-holding, but I'll do my best. She earned my trust at that moment and has never lost it. She has taken many hard decisions since then, and not all of them popular, but she's always led with honesty and integrity. UNCG is a better place because of it. Second one, I admire Provost Dunn greatly. She is invariably well informed about every topic under her purview, which is a great many topics. She is always poised, professional, and respectful. She's eloquent and unflappable. She's approachable and willing to listen. She's thoughtful and insightful. She's forward-looking. She's also a role model for all leaders. And for me as a woman, I aspire to lead like her. I will miss her leadership greatly. Next one, I so appreciate your willingness to engage and listen. I also appreciate your hard work in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Your response and that of the Chancellor made me proud as well as relieved that someone competent was at the helm, steering our school in a safe direction for our students, staff, and faculty. Thank you for your years of service to UNCG. And then finally, I was startled one morning as I walked across campus to the EUC for my morning Java jolt when I opened the door and you said, "Good morning, Regina." Wait, the new provost knows my name? Why does she know my name? What did I do that she would remember me? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? These thoughts tend to happen before coffee and were quickly resolved after the first gulp. The provost knows my name because she cares. Thank you for fostering a community where faculty and students feel supported and recognized. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts. I know that there are a lot of thoughts similarly mentioned quite often And I just wanted to give Provost Dunn her proper recognition and her final general faculty meeting as our provost. So I salute you. Let me see. And then the last thing I want to say in terms of working with Dana is also a sign of good leadership is the evolution of our relationship. So certainly we do not always agree on everything, but Dana and her leadership not only helps make me feel confident and comfortable to voice my disagreement, but also through her leadership, I've also grown in confidence because she's willing to listen. So I've been on many teams throughout my life, and a sure sign that we have good team dynamics is when we can work so closely together, recognize our strengths and weaknesses, and most importantly, get the job done. So thank you, Dana, for all that you've done and meant to all of us, and your leadership, which really makes all of us stronger. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn? Outstanding. And so I decided to choose Spiro as a way to say, we got this. Thanks, guys. Take care.